On the first day of December, Harriet York's world quite literally trips her up. One second she's untangling her Christmas garland and the next, she's sprawled on her front walkway, tights ripped, knee bleeding, her cat Oliver smugly licking her hand. The morning sets the tone for what will become a spectacularly inconvenient day. Because December 1 isn't just the start of advent calendars and peppermint lattes, it's the day her mother's annual York family Christmas gala invitation always arrives like clockwork, a glittering reminder of everything Harriet's been avoiding for years. The gold-foiled envelope in Oliver's mouth isn't just stationery, it's a symbol of the distance between Harriet and the rest of her family. 25 years of identical invitations, always perfectly addressed, never personally signed. Her mother's attention to detail used to seem like love, now it just feels like performance. Still, Harriet carefully tucks the invitation into her bag. It matters that it arrived. It means she hasn't been erased completely. Despite her bruised knee and dented mood, Harriet throws herself back into her own traditions, decorating her cozy craftsman house, coaxing garland into place and chasing silver linings, an outlook inherited from her beloved Aunt Matilda, the eccentric woman who raised her after her parents' affections drifted elsewhere. Matilda always said that most problems could be solved with a little perspective and some sparkle. For Harriet, that sparkle comes in the form of oversized Christmas Daker, hot peppermint tea, and a blueberry Danish from Paula's bakery down the street. But this morning, the universe refuses to cooperate. Daryl, the well-meaning but perpetually lost postman, appears at her fence, buried beneath a tower of misdelivered packages. Harriet, ever the helper, agrees to reroute the packages herself. Between that, a bleeding knee, and a toppled poinsettia, she's running late to her antique shop, the Crow's Nest, by the time she limps into Paula's bakery. Her spirits crumble completely when Paula regretfully tells her that not only are the blueberry Danishes gone, but so are all the Danishes. Harriet tries to hide her heartbreak behind politeness, settling for a powdered donut and Paula's sympathy in the form of free coffee. She munches her pity donut as she walks through the cobblestone streets of Annapolis, the harbor glinting at her side. The Crow's Nest, with its cedar shingles and golden-lettered sign, waits for her at the end of the lane. The shop once belonged to Aunt Matilda, who filled it with forgotten treasures and in doing so gave Harriet a place to belong. The store feels alive with memory, each shelf crowded with the kind of imperfect beauty Harriet herself relates to. Her life, like the antiques she sells, may be a little dented but still worth cherishing. Inside, though, her day refuses to right itself. Customers wander in and out without buying anything, testing the limits of her patience. One woman holds a full phone conversation on speaker, another tries to sell her a homemade hair mask. A man in New Balance sneakers demands an unassembled nightstand. Harriet smiles through it all, clinging to her mantra, silver lining, silver lining, silver lining. By sunset, she's exhausted, her decorations are still boxed up, and her knee throbs like a warning bell. When she locks up the shop, the wind off the water feels sharper than usual. Still, she tells herself that tomorrow will be better. At home, she kicks open her stubborn front door and is greeted by the comforting glow of her Christmas tree. She sheds her ruined tights, slips into reindeer pajamas, and cues up White Christmas. This is her December ritual: peppermint tea, old movies, and quiet. Tradition, hope, kindness. Christmas is the one time of year Harriet feels like the world still holds a little magic, something tender and possible just beneath the surface. But even cozy rituals can't keep ghosts away, figuratively or literally. As Bing Crosby croons and she unwraps a candy cane, Harriet's thoughts wander to her estranged sister Samantha. Once the two of them swore they'd never become like their mother and Aunt Matilda, who turned from sisters to enemies. But now Harriet and Sam haven't spoken since spring, after an argument that left cherry blossoms and tears scattered in equal measure. Harriet tells herself to push the memory away. It's December 1, the start of joy, not regret. Then she hears a sound, a scuff of boots against the floor. Her heart stops. Someone is in her living room. The shadow that moves in the glow of her Christmas tree is tall, broad, and human-shaped. In a panic, she screams, hurls her TV remote at his head, and brandishes a candy cane like a weapon. The stranger doesn't flinch. He simply says in a low, accented voice, "Hello, Harriet." The man, who insists he means no harm, claims to be a ghost of Christmas past. Not a ghost, but the one assigned to her specifically by something called the Department of Hauntings and Spirits. Harriet, who has survived her fair share of misadventures and bad blind dates, is unimpressed. She accuses him of being a burglar, a cult recruiter, and at one point a serial killer. The ghost, frustratingly patient, deeply exasperated, insists he's here to mend her ways and save her soul. She insists she's having a stroke. The more he talks, the stranger and somehow the funnier the situation becomes. He doesn't fit her idea of a ghost: no sheets, no chains, no eerie transparency. He's just a man in boots and flannel, Irish accent thickening when he's irritated, hair windswept and eyes bright with the faintest flicker of magic. He's curt, meticulous, and humorless, the complete opposite of Harriet's chatty warmth. and yet they clash with a kind of reluctant chemistry, bickering like characters in a screwball comedy. When Harriet demands proof of his ghostly status, he causes the lights to flicker accidentally but dramatically enough to make her gasp. She's half terrified, half fascinated. The ghost, meanwhile, is inwardly cursing his luck. After a century of haunting selfish tycoons and cold-hearted misers, he's never encountered someone like Harriet, stubborn, kind, and too fundamentally good to take him seriously. He's not supposed to care whether his assignments believe him, but something about her, her ridiculous pajamas, her messy curls, her defiant humor makes him hesitate. There's something familiar in the way she looks at him, like a half-remembered melody, a flash of color in his mind, sea glass green, pale pink, the creak of a ship, the sound of a lighthouse bell, fragments of a life he's long since forgot. Harriet, however, isn't moved by destiny. She's convinced this ghost is the product of too much sugar and not enough sleep. "If you're real," she challenges, "come back tomorrow, then maybe I'll believe you." The ghost, half amused, half infuriated, agrees. After all, he can't force her to cooperate. The rules of haunting are strict. The subject must willingly confront their past. So with a flicker of light and a brush of unseen magic, he vanishes, leaving Harriet alone with her half-eaten candy cane and the distinct sense that her December just got a lot stranger. The next morning, she'll wake up bruised and sore and wonder if she dreamed it all. But the truth is, her haunting has already begun. The ghost, meanwhile, returns to the Department of Hauntings, an ethereal bureaucracy that exists somewhere between time and space. His supervisor, Isabella, gives him the same warning she always does: "You're not here to like them, you're here to save them." He's never failed a case before, but something about Harriet unsettles him. She doesn't fit the mold. She isn't cruel or selfish, just stuck. A woman weighed down by guilt and loneliness disguised as optimism. If she doesn't face her past, her fractured family, her buried grief, the sister she lost, she'll never find peace, and neither will he. But Harriet doesn't know that yet. For her, the ghost is just another inconvenience on a long list that began with a busted knee and no blueberry Danish. Still, when she goes to bed that night, there's a flicker of something beneath her skepticism, the faintest shimmer of belief. Thematic overview. The story unfolds as a contemporary reimagining of A Christmas Carol, blending romantic comedy, magical realism, and emotional healing. Harriet isn't a Scrooge. She's a woman defined by avoidance, cheerful on the surface, fractured underneath. Her relentless optimism is a defense mechanism, one that hides the wounds of her broken family and the sister she can't forgive or be forgiven by. The ghost, once human, once flawed himself, represents the flip side of Harriet's denial. He spent a century confronting the pain of others but has forgotten how to feel his own. Together, they're two souls caught between past and present, one afraid to look back, the other trapped there forever. Their partnership begins with snark and disbelief, but gradually becomes something tender and transformative. Through their journey, revisiting memories of Harriet's childhood Christmases, her fractured bond with Samantha, her mother's cold perfectionism, and the loss of Aunt Matilda, they learn that redemption isn't just for the cruel, but also for the kind-hearted who have forgotten how to forgive themselves. As the days of December pass, the line between haunting and healing blurs. The ghost begins to rediscover traces of his humanity, remembering the man he was before death. Harriet learns that hope isn't the absence of pain, it's the courage to face it. And somewhere, amidst tinsel, candlelight, and second chances, something like love begins to flicker. Tone and style. The prose brims with warmth and wit, balancing humor and heartache in equal measure. Harriet's narrative voice, self-deprecating, observant, and resilient, anchors the story in realism even as the supernatural intrudes. Her interactions with the ghost feel like a rom-com dressed in Dickensian clothing, fast-paced, funny, yet emotionally sincere. While the premise is whimsical, the emotional undercurrent is deeply human. Christmas, in this story, isn't just a holiday, it's a metaphor for renewal, forgiveness, and the fragile belief that even broken things can shine again. In summary, the story begins with one bad day, tangled garland, a bruised knee, and a ghost in the living room, and grows into a journey of reckoning and rediscovery. It's a tale about mending old wounds, finding light in loss, and realizing that even the most skeptical hearts can still believe in magic. Because sometimes the gift the universe gives you isn't the one you want, it's the one you need. And for Harriet York, that gift arrives on December 1, wearing flannel, an Irish accent, and the title, Ghost of Christmas Past.